Good evening. I'm Pedro Hazel Jr.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
Welcome to another edition of Sportslines Plus. Tonight, we'll be discussing the NFL Draft and the Knicks in the playoffs. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. The internet address is youtube.com/@Sportslines Plus. Anyway, the NFL Draft is being held right now as we speak at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Giants' first draft pick at number 3 was Abdul Carter, defensive end from Penn State. The Jets' first draft pick at number 7 was Armand Membou, offensive tackle from Missouri. By the way, the Houston Titans picked Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami, as the number 1 pick overall. So anyway, let me just pick the Giants. We'll talk the Giants first, since they had the big pick first.
Sure.
Among the 2 New York teams.
Yep.
The Giants, outside of the first-round picks so far, have been Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, also in the first round, number 25 from Cleveland. Darius Alexander, defensive tackle in the 3rd round, 65th overall. And Cam Scatterbo. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's an unusual name. I've heard and seen this player. It's Cam Scatterbo. He's a terrific talent.
Running back from Arizona State in the 4th round, 105th overall. Other picks have been Marcus Mbo, running back from Purdue, Thomas Fidone, tight end in the 7th round, and Corey Black from Oklahoma State as a cornerback. What do you think of the Giants' picks? How do you think they did?
I think this is one of the few years I can honestly tell you I think the Giants did a really good job with their picks. What they did to get the first 2, very intelligently done, by the way.
By the way, the Jackson Dart was through Cleveland.
Right.
Cleveland
I was going to say, Abdul Carter, from what I've heard about this guy at Penn State, if he's not a star, I'll be the most shocked person in the room. There are people that think he will be the best player in this draft. He is a terrific player. I've seen him at Penn State. Excellent defensive player, great instincts, and fast and mean, and that's what you want for that position. But the other thing I heard about him is interesting. He was asked what number he wanted for the Giants, and he said, and you couldn't believe it, all right, Phil Simms is one thing, number 11. The great Phil Simms. We see him all the time on television every Sunday. But he wanted, and get this, Lawrence Taylor's number 56.
Wow.
I'm here to tell you, buddy, you're not getting that number.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence Taylor was a star the minute he stepped on the field.
That's right.
If you wind up being that player, I'll tell you what you'll get. Whatever number you get, nobody else on the Giants should be getting that number.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about Lawrence Taylor, the best Giant linebacker they've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like his moxie and his nerve to say that. He really believes he's going to be a great player. His father certainly does too. He spoke at the draft also. So this is a guy who's a very high-powered, very serious guy who really wants to show us what he can do.
Yeah.
And if he turns out to be as good as he projects to be, he probably will have his own number retired one day.
Yeah.
As for Jackson Dart, very smart move by the Giants. What they did, they traded back into the first round. That's what I'd heard they were going to do.
Yeah.
We'd heard all these rumors for Shedeur Sanders, left and right. They swore up and down they were getting him. But he actually went in the 5th round of the draft, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
We'll talk a little bit, yeah.
But Jackson Dart, let me tell you, what I've seen of this guy at Ole Miss, he has the potential to be a star NFL quarterback. He's not going to be the next Daniel Jones. This guy can throw the ball, throw it on the run, can run, makes plays with his legs, very talented and smart player. I think the Giants also drafted him for another reason. The coach likes him. He's maybe a very coachable guy. That's something we didn't think about. When you're a coachable guy and you have that kind of talent, there's a chance that you could be a major star in the league. I think Daniel Jones, although I think our coach, that is the Giant coach, tried to get him to do what he wanted him to do, I don't think he succeeded with Daniel Jones.
No.
But he has a chance to succeed with this guy. Why? Because he has a lot more talent to offer.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the Giants, who have not had a good quarterback, frankly, since the days of Eli Manning, finally have one.
That's like 20 years.
I know, but here's the problem. When you're the Giants and you basically drafted a guy like Daniel Jones, you reached for him. That's what they did.
Yeah.
They reached for this guy at number 6 because he went to Duke, because he was a lot like Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, that type of personality. But what they didn't look at was his talent. Yeah, he could run, Daniel Jones. That's his best asset.
Yeah.
He needs all day to throw in the pocket. He's Mr. Nervous feet back there. But you know what? Instead of getting rid of him after 3 years, as the Jets did with Zach Wilson, they stayed with him for 6 years. Let me tell you something, Giants. Never, ever, ever do that again. That is the worst decision you made in your history, was letting this guy run your team almost into the ground in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
You need to step up, and you finally did it year 7. Year 7, do you hear me? They had 6 quarterbacks in the draft last year they could have drafted.
Yeah.
One of them was Jalen Daniels, who our head coach wanted for his quarterback. You think
the Redskins, that is.
You think
rather the Commanders.
You think Joe Shane listened? Of course not. That's how he wound up with the Commanders. Brian Daboll may not be a great coach, but he does know talent. That would have helped the Giants a lot. Giants, excuse me. I don't know if they could have made the playoffs with him, as bad as they have been, the Giants. But I will tell you this, they would have won more than 3 games with him at quarterback.
That's for sure.
So finally they came to their senses year 7 and got a quarterback in the draft. And I heard next year there'll even be better quarterbacks in the draft. So if this guy doesn't work out or you want another one, draft again. Get another quarterback. You have to get yourselves good at that position. That's why it's taken them so long to come out of the gutter. They're in the bottom of the Eastern Conference in the standings. You can only go one way.
NFL East, yeah.
You've got to come back up.
Yeah.
And the way to do it, starting, is get a quarterback that you trust.
Yeah.
I think they may have finally found their guy.
Hopefully they did.
Yep.
In other words, basically they did pretty well in the draft.
Yeah, this was one of their better drafts I've seen in about 7-8 years, for sure.
Yeah.
And they got an arguably excellent defensive end to play for them. Number 3 draft, this is a guy, and again, I'm a big proponent of the first pick, 10 picks in the draft. Any of them that you draft should be stars within 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. I don't have the patience. I don't think most fans, Giants or Jets, have the patience to watch a guy who's not a star in his 5th year. Okay? So I'm warning you, Thibodeau, that guy they drafted number 5, Thibodeau. You are a good player. Kayvon Thibodeau, good player. But this is year 4, and you have to rise up to the star level now. Okay. He's a good player, but he's not a great player.
Okay.
When you draft somebody in the top 10, I got to see stardom the minute you step into the league.
Yeah.
Or at least I would have to say by year 3, you better show me what you have.
Yeah.
So they think the Giants finally got the message.
They sure did. Meanwhile, the Jets picks outside of the first picks have been so far Mason Taylor, tight end from LSU in the 2nd round, number 42 overall. Azari Thomas, cornerback in the 3rd round, 73rd overall. Arian Smith, wide receiver in the 4th round, 110th overall. And other picks have been Malachi Moore, safety, and Francisco Menegoa, linebacker, and Tyler Barron, defensive end in the 5th round. Those are the Jets picks so far. Now, what do you think? How do you think the Jets did?
Okay, give me the name of that first guy. It's a tough name. Armand, I got. What's the last name?
Membu.
Let me tell you what I think of Membu. It's Memho for me. I had never heard of this guy until 3 days before the draft. They kept talking to Jets about Tyler Warren. Let me tell you what. This is the 2nd year the Jets have passed on a star tight end. They gave up Brock Bowers, last year. He was drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders, and they swear he's a generational tight end, and he's already starting to look that good. They passed on him, and they had a chance at number 7 last year to get him. They allowed the Raiders to get him at 13th. This year, probably even worse. Tyler Warren is not just a tight end. He can play the quarterback position. He can run the ball. He's a great blocker. Everything you need for a tight end and then some. If you remember years ago, Pedro, we had a player named Brad Smith they used to use on certain plays, gadget plays. He was a former quarterback too. But this is a guy I have never heard of in my life. And they were all of a sudden, they were talking about this Armand guy at Membu, and I'm like, who is this? I've never heard of him. That, to me, that's a bad sign when you draft somebody this high in the draft. I have to know, and I think we all do, we have to know your name and know what you've done at the college level. Don't give me another Zach Wilson. Remember him? He was drafted number 2, and they said, oh, he's going to be all that. Well, he was not. He was terrible. He played at Brigham Young. I had friends of mine asking me, did you ever hear of this guy? I said, of course not. That's typical of the Jets.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. This is your first pick with the new regime. This is not a good start. I like the second pick. You did get a tight end. I'll respect you for doing that. You got Jason Taylor's kid, and he was a great player for the Miami Dolphins years ago. Mason Taylor probably can do a lot of the things that Tyler Warren can do, but he might not be the star that they should have gotten at number 1. And they drafted this guy, Armand Membu, at number 7. Let me tell you something, Armand. I better see your talent. Within 2 years, you better be making those Pro Bowl teams. Because I will say on the air, you will be a total bust. And we had a guy many years ago who played in the league for 12 years. I can't remember his name right now. He was drafted number 8. When we used to do our show on television, there was one guy who was a huge supporter of this guy and swore up and down he was going to be an all Hall of Famer. He was a bust. We got rid of him like in his 3rd or 4th year. I don't want to see that happening to the Jets again. We've gone through 14 years of total misery. We need to get in the playoffs, and you better start drafting with a more serious attitude. I don't like that first-round pick at all.
Going back to the Giants, the first round of the 25th pick, the second pick for the Giants, Jackson Dart. They cost the Giants their 3rd round pick this year and next. This is how much they want, how badly they wanted it.
Well, you know what? At least they showed some guts this time.
Yeah.
This is what I have a problem with New York teams in general with the draft. When they talk about getting after players, they talk about reaches and all that, I'm like, can't you figure out what you need? Don't you know if you're the Jets, you had to get a star tight end? You had one right in front of you. You didn't draft this guy. The Giants drafted Daniel Jones. I could have told them from day one, oh, my God, what are you doing? He should have been a 4th or 5th round pick. He doesn't have the talent to be a first-round pick. You have to understand what you need badly. Now I think the Giants are starting to get the message. Jackson Dart, in my opinion, is probably a number 1 or number 2 round pick. Very talented, definitely has a great throwing arm and can move. Those are the things you have to do at the NFL well, which he does. I don't know if he's ready to start for the Giants. I'd say probably a year or 2 away from doing that. But at least they have a prospect that you can take seriously. This guy was a very good quarterback at Ole Miss, and I believed he was going to be in the NFL, and I still believe he will be. But what the Giants did this time that was very smart, they got 2 veteran quarterbacks ahead of him. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do. If you're going to draft somebody in the top 10, you make sure you have adequate backup or people that have been around in the league longer. That's the mistake that the Jets made with Zach Wilson. You got Aaron Rodgers 3 years before that, and you said to Aaron, you're going to start for the next couple of years, and this kid is going to watch you. I would have said, okay, good move. Right. But what the Giants and Jets do, they throw you to the wolves in your 1st and 2nd year, and they say, do the job. That doesn't work. No. The kids are coming out of college. They're scared to death stepping on the field.
And then playing in the biggest market.
That's what I was about to say.
Media market.
You're putting them out there in the New York market where the biggest wolves exist. Yeah. You can't do that. You've got to make sure they're ready to do it. If they're not ready and you like their talent, make sure they have veteran guys in front of them. I wouldn't tell you that Russell Wilson at his age is the best quarterback available. But what I will tell you is he's won a Super Bowl. He had a chance to win 2 Super Bowls. He was a top-notch quarterback for years. He might make the Hall of Fame. And Jameis Winston, I know people don't like him because of the interception, but I will tell you what he was. He was the first pick in the draft when he was drafted years ago. These are guys who have experience. Now the Giants are doing it the smart way. Put veteran guys in front of Jackson Dart, let him sit and learn. Then you throw him out there in the second or third year. Or if your team is out of the playoffs, let's say the Giants win 5 games this year, and you want to see maybe what he can do. You bring him in maybe the second half of the game, you're getting blown out. And you just start developing him for the future. Finally, the Giants are learning.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Now, what do you think? Now, we mentioned Shedeur Sanders, quarterback drafted by the Cleveland Browns. He was drafted in the 5th round and 144th overall, and the Browns had to trade up for him. Trading picks 166 to 192 to Seattle. Now, a lot of people were speculating why he was drafted so late.
There are so many reasons probably why this happened. First of all, if you're Shedeur Sanders, you should be happy you were drafted, period. Because people forget, and a lot of us do forget, there are some great NFL players who were not drafted in the 1st and 2nd round. I can name you at least 5 of them. First one I can name you is Tom Brady. Everybody calls him the GOAT. I get that. The dude was drafted in the number 199 in the 6th round. There are guys who played in the NFL. Terrell Davis is another one. Star running back for Denver years ago, won Super Bowl. Drafted in the 6th round. Why? Because he had serious leg injuries. Nobody thought he'd be able to play. I can name you guys of the recent past. Stephon Diggs, who became a star with Buffalo and Minnesota. He was drafted in the 5th round. Dak Prescott was drafted in the 4th round. These are all players that have been good players, some borderline great players that are not drafted in rounds 1 and 2. Shedeur Sanders might have been drafted for this reason this way. I think his father, Deion Sanders, although I like him and I think he's a great coach and he's been a great player, he is a guy who is very outspoken, and he's a guy that perhaps hurt his son's chances by talking about what teams he wanted to play for and what city. They had him all set to play in New York. Sometimes a guy like that puts a lot of pressure on the front offices of other teams. And I think what they decide to do, my opinion, they decided to punish this kid a little bit for his father. And they decided, you know what, we're going to draft this kid a little bit lower than he deserves to be so he can earn his way up to the top. Now, here's the problem I have for him, for Shedeur Sanders. You're dealing with the 5 quarterbacks, 5 that they have in the Cleveland Brown roster. Nobody else has.
Amazing. Now, 5 quarterbacks they drafted.
Now, we understand Deshaun Watson. He's been injured the last couple of years with Achilles tendon problems. That's a very severe injury, probably the most severe of any an athlete can have. He's been paid a ton of money. He was supposed to save that franchise. He has not done the job. Okay, fine. He's sitting out the rest of the year. You have Jacoby Brissett, who used to play for New England, who played for Cleveland. He's still with them now. He's played for the Colts. This is a guy that has always had potential to be a really great quarterback. He's turned into a pretty good long-term quarterback. He's a guy that you would think might start over these younger guys. However, the younger guys they drafted have a lot of potential. Dylan Gabriel, who I've seen play at Oregon, is a left-hander who has a bullet-throwing arm and can run. He has a chance to be the star of that team. I've seen some of Shedeur Sanders. He's accurate and precise, but I don't think he has the mobility or the running speed needed at the next level. And he's 6'1". That size might hurt him. Whereas Dylan Gabriel is 6'5". He can see over everybody. So you've got those 3 quarterbacks right there with Deshaun Watson. That's number 4. And my God, the number 5 quarterback who's in his 40s and still playing. Yes, Jet fans, I'm sorry to tell you, Joe Flacco is still on the rosters of NFL teams. This guy got them into the playoffs 2 years ago. They sent him off to the Colts. He's back again for the second time. He won a title years ago in his first year with the Ravens. He won a championship. He played for the Jets for a couple of years. What saves Joe Flacco is one thing. He has a phenomenal throwing arm.
Yeah.
He can barely move out of the pocket these days. It's like Ironside revisited. But he's got the arm to play at the NFL level. So I think you're going to see Brissett and Flacco battle for the job ahead of these young guys.
Mm-hmm.
However, if one of those young guys impresses them enough, they might get that shot.
Interesting.
And I think I'm very interested to see what Shedeur Sanders does. I think he's got a chance to make that roster and possibly take the job from one of the veteran guys. But I also like Dylan Gabriel, and he's very good. So Cleveland is doing some interesting things because what they're doing, they are telling the NFL world, we are going to figure out who the hell our quarterback is going forward. Next year, from what I've heard of the draft, the quarterbacks will be better than what's out here now. And I think one name you're going to hear a lot of is Arch Manning. He plays at Texas. He's got a great arm. He's a tall guy. I think he's at 6'4", 5. He can move out of the pocket. They are going to work on getting themselves a franchise quarterback. And I think that's what they really want.
I mean, the Browns, they've been in and out with tons of quarterbacks. It's been like a revolving door with them.
It's very similar to the Jets in terms of the way they run their team. They are a very snake-bit organization. In the 80s, years ago, I know those are ancient times for some of you.
This is the original team now.
The 80s Browns were this close to getting to a championship. They were beaten by the amazing, and he was amazing, John Elway, and that miraculous comeback that they pulled off in Cleveland.
Right.
This is a team that has been snake-bit for a long time.
Remember the Ernest Biner fumble?
Yes.
That's what cost them the game?
Yep.
I remember that.
This is a team that you would just say, can't you have good luck once?
Yeah.
They draft well. They got Myles Garrett. The guy wanted to leave them last year. They re-upped him and signed him.
Yeah.
They spend a ton of money to get themselves right.
Yeah.
They gave Deshaun Watson a huge contract years ago, figuring they had their franchise guy. What does he wind up with? Achilles tendon problems. He can't even move these days. So I wish them well. I think they are eventually going to find their quarterback.
Yeah.
But Shedeur Sanders is going to have to compete for that job.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to do it based on what I know of him.
What do you think going into this, outside of Shedeur Sanders, what do you think of the best part of this NFL draft? I know it's been a big thing. It's become a whole big spectacle these last several years.
It's become that because the way TV breaks down the rounds and they go to different venues every year. I think that's a good thing, by the way. I used to love when they played and did this in New York. And it turned out I went to what has been the last one they had in New York, 2013. But I like the fact that they really go to all these different cities and engage with the fan base, and they have a fun time up on stage, these former players. It's great. But I will tell you, I think the Giants, strange as this is going to sound, they might have had the best draft this year. The Jets have had that too. 2 years ago, if you remember, when they got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and guys that, they were very close, except at the quarterback spot.
Of course.
They blew it.
Well, the Jets have always had a problem of quarterbacks.
Yes, that's why I said the Browns are very similar to that.
Yeah, almost since Channington was the best, but you could say
was great.
But it's basically been the same situation since. Well, I mean, Richard Todd was a decent quarterback. That's the
word I'll say for him, decent.
He was decent.
If you want me to say better than decent, I will say Sam Darnold and Geno Smith. Interestingly, both of them are no longer with the Jets, but both of them, if they had, in retrospect, given them 1 or 2 more years, I think both of them could have been here a long time.
Yeah.
They're both pretty good quarterbacks. They're still playing the NFL. That's one thing a team that doesn't have direction does. They don't stick with their players long enough.
No,
they don't give them a chance. I can tell you this, Geno Smith and Sam Darnold are much better than Zach Wilson. They should have given both of them at least 2 more years to see what they could do. But I think the Jets, now looking at who they have at quarterback, Justin Fields, This is a very interesting year for them because Justin Fields, if you remember, folks, was drafted number 11 by the Bears. That's the guy that the Jets should have drafted.
Yep.
I think this is their way of saying we made a huge mistake. We should have gone with Justin Fields years ago. 26 years old. He's played a little bit. He was pretty good with the Bears. The Bears were awful, and they have been for years. He was much better with the Pittsburgh Steelers, although he split time with, ironically, the other quarterback, who's Russell Wilson, with the Giants.
Yeah.
This will be Justin Fields' first time to get a full shot. And he's only here for 2 years guaranteed.
Yeah.
Now the question for the Jets is he the franchise quarterback, or are they going to go in the draft next year and find the quarterback they need? Okay. Good question.
Indeed. Moving on to basketball. The Knicks are leading their playoff series against the Detroit Pistons 2-1. They came back to beat the Pistons 118-116 in Detroit Thursday night after losing to them at Madison Square Garden 100-94 Monday and beating them 123-112 there at the Garden last Saturday. They return to MSG for Game 4 tomorrow afternoon. Steve, what do you think about the Knicks in the playoffs so far?
I think they did two things really well. They played very good defense this game. This might have been, even though the other game was lower scoring that they lost, this might have been the best defense they played on the road in a long time.
They showed grit. There's that word again.
Yes,
grit.
That is exactly what the Knicks showed. And I will tell you, and I've been on this guy's case all year, and you know who I'm going to say, Karl Anthony Towns. Oh my God, he blocked not one but two shots in the game.
Oh my God.
He defended, and he was up in people's faces, and that's what the Knicks do when they're good.
Yeah.
They play defense. Bridges was very good defensively.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Brunson was great. He did the scoring. He passed the ball beautifully. They played really well. This is a team, the Pistons, that are really, really good. And they are about this close to being a top 5 team.
They were scrappy. I mean, I'm thinking that guy. I'm thinking, even the start. I'm thinking that guy Schroeder. Thank you.
Let me tell you what. Schroeder is a terrific talent. And I told one of my friends the other day, I said, people don't realize he played on the German Olympic team. You don't get there if you're not a good player.
Yeah.
I know he played for the Nets. I know the Nets haven't been good for years, but he is a star player. He played on the Lakers team, and they were very good when he was there. He was on Boston Celtics team even, and he was good there. I understand he's been in the league 9 years, and I think he's been traded 9 times, which is amazing for his talent. But he is an instigator. He is a tough little guard. He's gutsy under pressure. He hits big shots, and he's not afraid of anybody.
Kind of reminds me a little of Vinny Microwave Johnson.
Yes, except he was a better shooter than Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
And Dennis Schroeder has guts.
Yeah.
He's gritty. He doesn't care who's on the he almost got in a fight in that game.
Oh yeah, I remember. It was very intense. They had a fight the first quarter.
And if you're going to beat this Piston team, you've got to show a lot
it's like the 90s again.
Yes.
This time, back in the 90s, of course, you had Isaiah Thomas and Bill Lane Beer. And,
Johnson. Vinny Microwave Johnson.
Johnson, Microwave Johnson.
See,
Dennis Rodman.
They are similar, and I'll tell you why I agree with you, because when you look at Cade Cunningham, this guy is a star. His first year he was hurt. He didn't play that much. He played a little bit last year. Now you see this guy and you're like, wow. Yeah. I see why this guy was drafted number 1. He is a number 1. He's talented. He's smooth. He's intelligent. He's a great passer. Yeah. He runs up the court beautifully. Brunson has to really keep up with this guy.
Yes, he does.
This guy is all talent. 6'6". And he's going to be even better as the years go on when they get more help around him.
Yeah.
But this team, that Pistons team, reminds me a lot of the 80s teams.
90s teams, yeah. 80s and 90s.
Gritty, gutty, and mean as hell.
Yeah. And those crowds were as gritty as hell, too.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, if the Knicks make it out of this round, this might prepare them better for Boston.
Oh,
because
my God.
one of the problems the Knicks have when they play Boston, they leave people open for threes. You know what you're learning about Detroit? You leave them open for threes, they're going to hit them too.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lesson for the New York Knicks. I'm kind of glad they're playing this team now.
Yeah.
They're getting them ready for the next round.
Oh, yes.
If you want to play Boston and have a chance to beat them, you're going to have to gut it out.
Yes, you do.
You're going to have to play good defense, get up on these three-point shooters, stop letting them run to the basket, and I mean all of you. I'm not talking about just Brunson does his thing. We know him.
Yeah.
Bridges is playing better. Towns is the guy that really has to play better for them to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason the Knicks were given the edge in this series.
Right.
Carl Anthony Towns, because they don't have anybody who scores like him.
Right. Now, Anunoby was there.
Oh.
He was
OG
aggressive.
Anunoby, next to Brunson, is my favorite Knick.
Yeah.
This is a guy that does everything well for the Knicks.
Oh, and don't forget Josh Hart.
Oh,
We'll bring him
Josh
and
Hart,
Josh Hart.
to
Oh,
me,
he's everything.
Josh Hart is the Swiss Army knife.
He's
He
everything.
does everything for the Knicks. But what Anunoby does, which by the way we're forgetting, he always guards the toughest players.
Yeah.
They had him guarding at Cade Cunningham most of the game because he will neutralize your game, whoever you are as a scorer. We really need him. Thank God he's healthy now to help us.
Yeah.
But I'll also tell you another guy who I hope the Knicks do not lose, and I thought they might lose him. We really need to think about keeping Robinson.
Oh, yes.
Because his interior defense has saved the Knicks in this series.
Oh, yeah.
If we did not have him, we're toast in 4 games.
Yeah.
He's become such a sure defender. Block shots, rebounds, passes. I know he doesn't score a lot of points. That's my one knock on him. But what he does, he makes that interior defense so much better.
Yeah.
And he allows Carl Anthony Towns to be what he should be, which is a power forward, not a center.
Yeah.
Living proof, he was with Minnesota for 9 years. He was their center for a number of years, including the playoffs. But what did they get 1 year? They got Rudy Gobert, who's a 7-foot, say it for me now, center. This guy, Towns, is a 7-foot power forward. He's like Dirk Nowitzki. He's like Bob McAdoo. Guys that have the length and the size, but don't have the toughness to play the center spot. And I'm sorry to tell you, Knicks fans, he is a power forward, and they need to move him to that spot, whether they keep Robinson or not next year. But I like the fact that they're being pushed by this young Detroit team.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks can win the series if they win tomorrow's game.
Yes.
But they have to win tomorrow's game.
Yes, they do.
It's going to be another tough game. It's on the road. They're going to have to be.
No, they're at home.
Oh, they're at home.
The Knicks are at the Garden.
They're back at the Garden. They cannot blow this game.
No, I'm sorry. They're in Detroit.
Okay.
They're in
They're
Detroit.
in Detroit. They're going to have to put the same effort forward, maybe even more, because that Detroit crowd was hostile and mean as they could have been to the Knicks.
That's right. Game 4 will be in Detroit, not MSG.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, they gotta beat them in Detroit.
Right.
In a hostile territory.
But this is telling me the Knicks can do it.
Yeah.
This is where the toughness of the Knicks is being tested. And maybe that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because we have to see this kind of team if we're going to get through Detroit to get to Boston.
Yes.
And we know Boston is always tough as hell on the Knicks, and we leave them open for threes. And I'm here to tell you that last game we played Boston, that's the way we have to play them.
Yes.
We did lose that game. Unfortunately, in the end, we lost in overtime, but that was the only competitive game the Knicks had with that team. And they have to remember defense first before anything else.
That's for sure. That's for sure. For Steve Ferguson, I'm Pedro Hazel Jr. saying thanks for joining us. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. And the internet address, again, is youtube.com/@Sportslines Plus. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Good weekend, guys. Go New York. Go New York. Go.